Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
To come back this year and perform like this, it definitely – I think it shows what kind of golfer I am. It was awesome.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Monday night from downtown Columbia. Fairfield Studios on Main Street. Good to have you with us. Hope you had a great weekend, great Father's Day weekend. We are all together tonight. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary is here, Professor Tom Hayes. We bring back from the bullpen Larkin Belton, called him in, the left-hander out of the bullpen, to do some work for us tonight as Carson Mason is off this evening. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. So much to talk about over the weekend. You heard the comments of Dustin Johnson. Congratulations to the Dutch Fork Coastal Carolina grad. What a day and night for Coastal Carolina yesterday. Dustin Johnson wins the U.S. Open. The Chanticleers win their first game at the College World Series. For a school that size, an alumni base, that size, it doesn't get much better than that.
It was all planned because if you remember, it was only, I guess, 10 to 15 minutes. Dustin Johnson's in the clubhouse. All you got to worry about is, and it's just informal, either way you want to talk about the controversial movement of the ball on the fifth hole. And then first pitch of the Coastal game, right after they announced that he won. Oh, can we start the game now? Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to him. Congratulations to Coastal. K-Mac, Miami, sent home, losing to UC Santa Barbara just a little while ago. That game went final. They had a bit of a rain delay. Santa Barbara came out after the rain delay, put, 4 runs on the board, and they win at 5-3. So your number 3 seed, Miami, first team to be sent home.
Yeah, they're sitting on an airplane right now. You've got Florida, the top seed in the losers bracket. Texas Tech is in the losers bracket. It has not been a good tournament for the national seeds, and we keep saying it. And if you need evidence that college baseball, every year there's more parity, and now there's as much parity in college baseball as there has been probably ever. It just everybody's kind of caught up now. Coastal Carolina, UC Santa Barbara, that's their first win in school history in the College World Series. Coastal just got theirs. You're going to see more of this now. So you have to understand those days of LSU and Southern Cal and even South Carolina, that run that they went on, those days are over.
Think about this.
You're going to have great teams, but there's going to be a lot of other teams that can knock off those teams.
Oklahoma State's win in their first game was their first World Series win since 1993. And you know how good Oklahoma State's program has been over all the years. So you're exactly right.
But the advantage goes now to the team that you expect to do anything. It looks like the head is just wavering on those teams expected to do things. The guys playing loose are the ones that's being most successful.
We got a lot of recruiting to talk about, as you know. Plenty happened over the weekend. We'll catch you up on all of that. We'll cover Coastal Carolina, too. Take your phone calls as well. Back in a moment. Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Plenty to talk about from over the weekend. Of course, the NBA season is now over. Best player in the world took over and showed his mites and just put his fingerprints, handprints, knee prints, footprints all over Golden State. What a performance by LeBron James and the Cavaliers. And you feel good for the city of Cleveland. Been so long since they've won any kind of a championship. They've had so much heartbreak over the years.
I don't feel good for
by
them.
their various.
Why would you?
By
feel
their
good?
various teams.
I like seeing cities suffer.
Do you really?
Sports wise,
Yeah.
I don't like seeing real life suffering in any city. But the suffering of a sports fan in a city, that doesn't bother me at all. I enjoyed watching Red Sox fans just go crazy.
I
every
enjoyed
year,
that. No, I enjoyed
thinking
that.
that they
Oh,
had
you
this
would.
curse, and I kind of think that's funny.
Well,
but now
you know-
I thought it was Dan Gilbert last night. He said, "Oh, it's just nice that God loves Cleveland." And I'm like, "Well, what did God not like them? The other 50? Is that what you're saying?"
You'd have to ask him.
I mean, that's
Really?
kind of what you're saying when you
Apparently,
say
he had a conversation and found
Apparently.
out.
But you know, if anybody tells me what is the distinctive play of the Game 7, and everybody say, well, you know, hey, Irvin hitting that three, that sealed it. No, it was a bronze block. That block when he came out of nowhere
Well,
and
actually,
got Iguodala's layup.
Good point. I thought it was Kevin Love's defense on that key possession where he would not allow Steph to get a shot off from three and force them into a rush shot.
The way they,
every
the way-
shot that
the
Golden
way he
State
was
takes is a
shooting, I
rush
let him
shot.
shoot because
Yeah.
the shot before that, he didn't even draw iron.
Yeah,
But that's the beautiful thing about this. Now Golden State's great season, historic season, just turns into a joke now.
Mm-hmm.
They will not go down as one of the great teams of all time.
But you
They
know-
could have been the greatest team of all time. Now they will not go down as
Here-
one. That will not go down as one of the top 5 greatest teams.
Here's
of
the
all
deal,
time.
though. This is what Golden State has taught great teams from now on. And that is, and Pops would have done it too if San Antonio had the best record. Don't play for the best record.
Mhm.
Rest your players. Everybody wants to say, well, you know, Seth's legs. Well, if you sat him a few games instead of trying to go for that regular season record, maybe you got another title. So I
Mhm.
think from now on, great teams, they won't even go after Golden State's record. So we're going to rest players. We're going to win a title.
All right, 800-956-7266. As I mentioned, a boatload of recruiting information for you, mostly on the Gamecock side because they've been very busy. Of course, they had the 2 commitments on Friday, picked up 1 on Saturday. And in terms of what the player thinks, they picked up another one on Sunday in Tansy Richardson from South Aiken. Now, as you well know, South Carolina recruiting is a unique situation because they have a head coach through Twitter signal language who alerts the followers when he gets a commitment. And that, of course, we're talking about Muschamp, who adopted the Spurs Up theme for announcing commitments and I guess other good things for his program, but it's primarily tied in with commitments. Every time he's gotten a commitment, he's thrown up the Spurs Up. And he is the one, as he said at the beginning of his time at South Carolina, he's the one who offers and he's the one who takes the commitments. So you assume everything comes through him. So Tansy Richardson, fine athlete from South Aiken, goes on his Twitter account last night and announces a commitment to South Carolina. And with full congratulations from people around him, does interviews with me and others, acknowledging the commitment and explaining it and this, that, and the other. And all that is good except for one thing. There's been no Spurs Up. No white smoke coming out of the football office or garnet smoke, whatever kind of smoke you want to have. And, you know, therefore, in this most obvious of ways, because it's really not supposed to be obvious, usually when a player commits, there's no confirmation from the receiving team because they can't do it. The rules say you can't talk about it. But in his own way, Muschamp's been doing that. So there's been no confirmation. So it's led to the question, is South Carolina accepting his commitment, et cetera, et cetera. I've been in touch with Tansy throughout the afternoon, and he tells me that Travaris Robinson, the defensive coordinator who recruited him and who offered him with Muschamp, wanted him to commit earlier, but he waited it out. And I asked him if it's possible that they have filled up at his position, which could be corner or safety. And may not take him, and he said he didn't think so because he can also play wide receiver if that's the case. So he thinks his commitment is still good, and he just informed me that I guess he checked with them, and he said they're all on vacation, and he said that he expects Muschamp to accept his commitment, says he should. So, I guess in this particular case, the way Muschamp handles it with the public acknowledgement of commitments, and we can't really say it's complete until he acknowledges it with his Spurs up, which hasn't happened yet. Mm-hmm. And if they're on vacation and he's not doing any football-related stuff for a little while and not acknowledging things like that, then so be it. But, in the meantime, Richardson just sort of hangs in limbo here until somebody
Spurs
says absolute.
On hold.
Spurs on hold. Spurs not down, but Spurs.
Spurs gray shirt. I don't think this kid's going to get a Spurs up.
You don't think so?
I mean, he can't hear from the coaches. I mean, the coaches aren't taking his call. That's usually a.
Well, I don't know now. This thing about him telling me they're all on vacation. He's talked to somebody.
I mean, yeah.
Or been told.
There's no way that the coaches are all on vacation and not around their.
Well, I know, for example, Lance Thompson is gone. I saw it. He put out a tweet with he and his wife on a plane going somewhere yesterday. I mean, look, they went through from roughly June the 2nd to June 18th, maybe not exactly June, maybe it was June 8th through June 18th. They had a camp every day, and I wouldn't be surprised if Muschamp said at the end of the last camp, which was Saturday, hey, you know what? Everybody hit vacation, turn off your phones, get away from football, come back a certain date. They have new camps starting up on July 18th. So maybe he's giving them the time away and said, get away from it.
So 5 stars ready to commit.
Well,
they're not going to take
doesn't matter about stars came
out. Oh, right, right. Of course not. I mean, here's the thing: they are offering.
You subscribe to the star theory? You're big in star.
Do I subscribe to it? Yeah. No, but I think that the more 5 stars you have, probably the better.
But good football players. The more good football players you have, the better.
We'll back that up. Yeah. I mean, if you look at it. But that being said, South Carolina has offered about 500,000 people at this stage in the game. So logic would indicate they can't take offers. They can't accept commitments from everybody that they've offered.
This is correct.
So
they'd have about
150
people.
This guy has an offer from South Carolina that appears anyway. I shouldn't say clearly, but it's not a committable offer. And I've noticed there are some people now, and this is on the Gamecock side of things. It's not Clemson fans that you always have rival fans go, that guy's no good. But there are some Gamecock fans going, I thought Will Muschamp was this ace recruiter, and that was his big thing. We're not really landing a bunch of ace recruits right now early in this class. Well, it's not early in the class. I mean, they've got a bunch of commitments right now.
They got 18 if you count
18 commitments.
Richardson.
And I'm looking at this as a whole. I'm not talking about any individuals. And again, I'm not knocking this class. They might all turn out to be outstanding guys that win the SEC, but this time of year, everybody does kind of look at the pedigree of the people that you're getting commitments from. And I think people are looking at this going, if this was the same exact class and Steve Spurrier Jr. was the recruiting coordinator, people would be up in arms right now because it looks like on paper, again, on paper, we know what that's worth. The same kind of class that South Carolina's had the past few seasons that's kind of gotten them into this 3-9 hole.
There's some good players in this. Well, look, I'm not going to say any of them aren't good players because I haven't seen them. There are some players here who had good offers in terms of your Power 5 conference schools, major offers, could have gone to those kind of schools. And there's some others that did not attract the same kind of attention. There are some of the 18 that you would call a reach for a school like South Carolina in the SEC.
I will say this though.
But let me say this. It's on those coaches because they independently evaluated and made their decisions and offered these players and accepted their commitments based on their coaching and recruiting and scouting knowledge. So it's totally on them. These are the players that they have offered and they have taken. Back in just a moment. Back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Monday afternoon, heading into the evening. Hope you had a great weekend. 800-956-7266. So much to talk about from over the weekend. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com, on Twitter at sportstalksc, the website, which is smoking, sportstalksc.com, and on Facebook, Sports Talk Radio Network. So we'll go over the recruiting information from the weekend coming up in a few minutes. We've got Gary Gilmore, interview with him. He talked with the media after the main press conference last night. We'll bring that to you as well. Hoping to talk to Andrew Beckwith live on the show tonight. The team will be eating here in a little bit in Omaha. It might be a good time to get him on the program after his performance last night. How great was that performance by a young man who I think you might have said it right, K-Mac. We were talking before the show in our pre-show green room consultation. Michael Roth type of guy, you know. Until Michael Roth exploded on the national scene in the World Series, you really didn't know what you had there. Remember, he was going to be a hitter. You thought he might be a hitter and a relief pitcher and that sort of stuff. Well, Beckwith, that same kind of player, can do a lot of different things for your baseball team. And all he did last night was pitch a complete game.
Yeah, and every time we see a great postseason pitching performance, that's the first guy we want to go to. People said that with Tyler Johnson when he started that game against UNCW. But Johnson's such a different kind of pitcher. He's a power pitcher and has a major league arm. But Beckwith, he has that crazy slot, and Florida is a great team. I mean, Florida is a loaded team. Even by Florida standards, that is a loaded team with a bunch of dangerous bats up and down their lineup. And he had them off balance. They couldn't get any balls barreled up. I mean, they weren't driving the ball at all. They were all ground balls, and it was very, very impressive. And it did remind me of a Michael Roth type performance, because you'd watch Michael Roth pitch and you go, how is he getting guys out right now? I mean, what is he doing? He doesn't throw really hard. He just knew how to pitch. And this kid, he's got great numbers. He's not really a starting pitcher. He's probably more of a reliever. If he played at a program like Florida, he would be a bullpen guy. He'd probably be a 7th or 8th inning guy. He might not even be a closer, but he goes to Coastal. He gets to start some. He gets to close some. He does a little bit of everything for Gary Gilmore, and I love the way that team plays. And they were not blown away by that moment. No. Playing the #1 team, playing at the College World Series. They got jobbed on a bad call on a ball down the right field line that should have been a double that cost them a run in a tight game, and they weren't up in arms, and Gary Gilmore didn't go out there raising hell. I just was very impressed with how they handled that.
All right, so Coastal plays tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern time. They are the primetime boys against TCU, and this is the key game. You win this game, then you don't play again until the 24th, where you need one win and you're in the championship series.
Well, see, Coastal's pitcher last night is like the option. You don't see that often. If you throw a guy with that arm slot on people, I don't care how good a hitting team you are. You're going to get caught.
All right, we'll be right back. 800-956-7266, Monday edition of Sports Talk. Back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth, the Professor Tom Hayes, K-Mac, Kevin McCrary in the studio tonight. 800-956-7266, our number here on Sports Talk on this Monday night. Now, if you're just joining us, the College World Series, first game of the day is over, and it was Santa Barbara defeating Miami, eliminating Miami 5-3. The Gauchos, they stay alive. Coming up, it's Oklahoma State and Arizona. You got to like this Oklahoma State team. I mean, they won 1-0 the other day. They beat you with pitching and great defense and timely hitting or timely hits. They're just a
How many
very
runs
good
have they
team.
given up in the postseason?
Well, go
Less
back
than
and think
10.
about at Clemson. They gave up, they shut out, and then 4 runs at Clemson, and then in Columbia,
1 in the first game,
that's 5.
2 in the second,
That's 7, and then they shut out Arizona.
7 runs.
Mhm.
That is strong.
Yeah, 7 runs in what would be 3, 5, 6 games.
Which means
you would take that anytime.
Yes.
which means they have never trailed in any of the games
No.
they played so far.
Yeah, they're a good team. You could see it at Clemson and then
Yeah.
in Columbia just how solid they are and how well prepared they are. They scout the opponents well. Seem like their guys were just in the right place. A couple of more, or at least one more USC player has signed his pro contract. Taylor Widener signed his deal, so he is on. And Vogel is also expected to sign, USC pitcher who was drafted, right?
Yeah, he didn't get a lot of work for the Gamecocks, but has a live arm, and he is expected to sign at some point this week. And another one of this wasn't a surprise, Cortez, the second round pick.
Yeah.
He signed.
He did. That is a surprise.
Yeah.
That is a surprise because he tweeted out that he was coming to school.
Hmm.
You're talking about let's see. I gotta
Was he
look it up
drafted
here.
by Seattle?
There it is. Yeah, Carlos Cortez, drafted by the Mets in the 20th round.
Mhm.
He did sign.
I believe he signed.
That would be a surprise because he had said he was coming to school. But you know, here's the thing.
You say that's called leverage, right?
Well, I think when he wasn't picked the first day, or the when he wasn't picked, it was after the first day. He tweeted out, look something like, hey, Spurs up, looking forward to coming to South Carolina, And everybody took that as his acknowledgement that he was coming to school. But the Mets took him. The thing is, though, is the coaches will tell you when it comes to a team like the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, those types of teams, round is not important when it comes to the money that they will throw at you to get you if they really want you.
Mhm.
They don't have to. They with the deep pockets, they can, I guess, go outside of slot and do what they have to do to get you to sign.
They're still paying Bonilla.
Paying who?
Bobby
Right.
Bonilla.
Oh yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be paying him forever.
So the Gamecocks have had Joey Rizzo, signee, third baseman, to sign. Braden Webb to sign. Dom Thompson-Williams, he signed. Gene Cone signed.
Okay, I'm checking. I'm going to double check this again because I have him down to Carlos Cortez
Mhm.
going in the 20th round of the Mets. It wasn't
Yeah.
him that's unsigned. He didn't sign. It was somebody else.
You thinking
that
of
was drafted.
Joey Rizzo?
Rizzo.
Oh,
Rizzo's the one that
okay,
signed. So
okay.
everybody, pull your cars back on the highway.
Okay.
I would double check that here.
Yeah, Joe Rizzo signed the first day because he was the second round.
Yeah,
pick.
Rizzo signed. No,
Yeah.
Cortez was drafted in the 20th round and remains unsigned. Of course, Gene Cone did sign, but
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Cortez has not signed, and everything's status quo there.
Yeah,
So,
he, like I said, then because he had said he was coming.
right. I
to
was talking
school.
about the early round pick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
he wasn't drafted
That
until
was-
the 20th round.
That was Rizzo.
Yeah.
All right, and let's see what else do we have here. Alabama football news: the charges against Alabama football player Cam Jones from that traffic stop April 17th been dropped by the DA in Louisiana's 4th District. Robinson was facing 2 misdemeanors: possession of marijuana and illegally carrying a firearm, in addition to a felony possession of a stolen firearm, and Jones was charged with 2 misdemeanors. Today, the charges were dropped. The DA, who cited insufficient evidence, further explained his reasoning for declining to prosecute these 2 players, in that he said, the main reason I'm doing this is that I refuse to ruin the lives of 2 young men who have spent their adolescence and teenage years working and sweating while we were all in the air conditioning.
Hmm.
Now here's the
Roll
question.
Tide.
Wait a
Now-
minute. Let me read that again.
Read it again.
Yeah, read it again.
I'm doing this. The reason I'm doing this is that I refuse to ruin the lives of two young men who have spent their adolescence and teenage years working and sweating while we were all in the air conditioning.
Not getting weapons felonies.
Not strange.
Wow.
Drug charges.
Wow, how
that
about
is
that rationale?
Now, Coach Les Miles, whose team is trying to overtake Alabama, would say the district attorney didn't quite have the chest
Mm.
to put the charge.
But how many stories like this have we seen in the SEC? Les Miles can't say a lot because he had a running back that punched the guy out and he brought him right back on his team. We've seen the situation at Mississippi State with their highly touted recruit coming in, Simmons, that on tape you can see him battering a woman on the ground. He comes in, he gets a 1-game suspension, which is the equivalent of a targeting penalty. And you have this case where the DA essentially says, I don't want to ruin these guys' lives. They're football players. That's just a big euphemism for working hard, sweating while we're in the air conditioning of they play football. They're big time football players. If that was somebody else, if that was me or
what if these
you,
were a couple of landscapers, who work
well,
outside
that's different.
every day
Yeah, I'm sure. If their names were
toil.
Rodriguez, and I'm
They
sure
get
they would
sweat
get
on the
treated the
stage.
same way.
What are you saying, K-Mac?
I'm saying exactly what I'm saying. I
What
think it's
is?
very clear
You're
what I'm
saying.
saying.
You're saying no. You're saying what?
These guys are getting special treatment because they are football players. That's
And
exactly what I'm saying.
Alex Rodriguez would not get the same treatment.
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
Well, they'll get it.
His name's Rodriguez.
It
You
is
said the name
special-
Rodriguez.
No, I met a couple guys doing landscaping that say we
Right,
work in the sun
right.
would not get named Rodriguez, would not, an Angel but probably wouldn't get the same.
Or McCrary.
Yeah.
A couple of guys named McCrary
Well,
had
if
stolen firearms and marijuana
sure.
on the.
I'd be like, you're in the air conditioning too much. I'm going to ruin your life. If you're in the air conditioning, you deserve to have your life ruined.
Yeah.
Number
Is that
one.
what it
That
is?
is.
Well,
a
I'm
very-
driving home with the windows up
This
and
guy,
the air off.
this guy has really, especially in the state of Louisiana, he has put his career on the line. Right? These guys are elected officials, aren't they?
I mean,
Aren't they elected officials, DA?
some
the,
are,
the
some are,
Stanford,
some not.
the Stanford swimmer. At some point, they've just got to start treating these guys like everybody else. And it's just, this looks really, really.
Well, his rationale
bad.
looks really shaky.
Yeah, I mean,
to
it's
say
one
that
thing-
if you had, listen, if you said, hey, we don't have the evidence to prosecute, we don't have enough to go on, blah, blah, blah,
That'd have been enough.
that would have been enough. But to
Yes.
come out and make it sound that strictly because you're football
They
players, and
work
that's
hard
what he's saying,
and the sweat.
strictly because you're football players, we're going to give you a pass. I don't think we've heard the end of this story. I got to believe somebody above this guy's head is going to say, what?
Well,
What did you just say?
And who do they play for?
Well, that's
Alabama?
what I'm saying. You're in the state of Louisiana, right? Is this where's this guy at?
He's in
The district
Louisiana.
attorney. Louisiana district attorney is helping out two Alabama football players because they're football players. That's why I'm saying in the state of Louisiana, the voters there
Yeah.
are not going to be happy.
Well, yeah, it just doesn't. Regardless of that, I mean, that's bad from just you're not helping it. But if these guys would have been playing at LSU, it would have been just as bad and just as egregious. Now it would have looked like, was this guy an
Well,
LSU fan? But I made the
uh,
joke earlier today. Like the only thing that statement really lacked was a roll tide at the end of
But
it.
see, that's
I mean,
the thing.
if you heard,
If it were LSU football players and a Louisiana district attorney did what he did and said what he said, I'd
Ding,
say
ding, ding.
I understand. But these are Alabama players, even though they're from Louisiana. They're
well,
Alabama players.
exactly. They're you're taking care of
They're
your
You're in Louisiana, unless he has some history with the state,
Well,
with Alabama.
what-
Maybe
what-
he got his law degree there or
let's,
something.
let's face it, in a lot of cases, if we look at it, there are mitigating circumstances for giving people chances when they're charged. And a lot of them bend on, are they productive members of society?
I get
or they
that,
look like?
and I'm all fine with that. But man, to come out and basically say
But it's
you're
a
getting a
dumb
pass
reasoning.
because you're football
That's a
players,
dumb reasoning.
I think
there.
that hurts everybody involved, except for the guys getting off. Speaking of football, recruiting coming up. All right, plenty of recruiting to catch you up on from over the weekend and into today. So let's just recap what's been going on. Tansy Richardson, athlete from South Aiken, 5'11", 175. He announced on Twitter a commitment to USC. Will Muschamp has not acknowledged it yet with his and as I explained in the first half hour how all that comes down, it's kind of unusual because, schools ordinarily don't acknowledge any sort of commitment, but Muschamp has started this thing where he does that. So nothing has come from him. Could be a reason. Could be that he's out of touch and not involved with anything football related here for a little while. Could be he's not ready to take the commitment, whatever the case may be. The young man feels committed to South Carolina over Colorado State, plus offers from Mississippi State, Southern Miss, Coastal Carolina, and Charleston Southern. Multi-position player, plays corner, safety, can play wide receiver, returns punts as well. And he worked out a couple of times at USC earlier this month, and that's when he got the offer from the Gamecocks. And as he's told us today, Travaris Robinson wanted him to commit, but he held off for a while for whatever reason. And then last night announced his commitment without actually talking to the coaches. And he's tried to reach the coaches today, apparently without any success. So it's a commitment that is on standby at this particular time. One that is not is defensive back Jalen Dickerson, 6'1", 175 out of Southern Pines, North Carolina. He committed, and there was a spurs up that went along with his commitment. He was offered in May by the Gamecocks, went through a private workout Thursday in front of Muschamp and Robinson, and apparently did very well. He also had offers from Virginia, East Carolina, Appalachian, and Charlotte. He likes the idea of playing in the SEC. He had 122 tackles, 5 picks, and 2 forced fumbles last year. And he thinks with the USC secondary situation, he'll have a chance to come in and have an opportunity to play. And what's interesting about him is he didn't put his commitment out on Twitter like so many do. Word got out and congratulations came in, but he said that he's good with Twitter, but he doesn't like the publicity. I like to play football, do what I love, and be around my family. That's how it should be. And he says he is shutting down his recruiting. In fact, his coach has already contacted other schools to tell him that he is done. Twins defensive lineman Breon Gaddy, 6'4", 353, and Brandon Gaddy, 6'5", 285 of Virginia Beach. How would you like to feed those two on a daily basis?
They have to go out and graze. I'm sorry.
They were to be at Clemson today, recently cut their list to 5 and 7, respectively. They both have Clemson. Well, in Breon's case, Tennessee's been his favorite ahead of Clemson, Florida State, Georgia, and Southern Cal. Same thing for brother Brandon, but he also has Florida and Virginia Tech on his list. They were at Tennessee on Friday. Breon says they are a package. There's no splitting them up. They're going to go to the same school. They were at Clemson last season for the Notre Dame game. They were really impressed by the fact 80,000 were there in the heavy rain. He also likes how Clemson sends a lot of people to the NFL. He also is impressed with the academics, and he said the Tennessee lead on Clemson at this point is not that big. Defensive back Zay Brown of Athens was at USC Saturday for the last camp of this month with Will Muschamp, and he got an offer from the Gamecocks. He also has offers from Colorado State, Wake Forest, Charlotte, Georgia State, Western Kentucky, Miami of Ohio, Middle Tennessee. Realizes that it's a big offer from USC. Coaches tell him he can play the safety position and nickel. They like his size and his athleticism. He's not claiming a favorite, but the offer from USC, he said, certainly moves them up. Georgia is not a factor with him at this point. 78 tackles and 6 interceptions last season. 2019 running back Jonathan Sewell of Athens, teammate of Brown's, also offered by USC Saturday. 2018 receiver Jordan Adams of Blythewood was offered Saturday night by North Carolina. Running back Chase Hayden of Collierville, Tennessee, was at USC Saturday for his planned visit with his parents. And he told the Big Spur after the visit that USC's at the top of his list. Final decision could come relatively soon. He is scheduled to visit Arkansas Thursday, Missouri Friday. Those are the others at the top of the list. Also still considering Tennessee, Michigan, Oklahoma State, and Illinois. Defensive end Trey Lawson of North Augusta committed to Tennessee on Saturday. He was there for an unofficial visit. Greer offensive lineman Noah Hannon committed Saturday night to Appalachian State. USC target defensive end Matthew Butler of Garner, North Carolina was at Tennessee Saturday. He was at USC Friday. Got some more notes for you. We'll give them to you after the break. All right, a few more recruiting notes to catch you up on things and wrap it up from the weekend and through today. Defensive end Latheron Rogers Anderson of Ridgeview was one of the prospects at the satellite camp at his school on Friday. Felt like he performed well in front of the coaches, including USC's Travaris Robinson. He said that Robinson told him that, or has told him, they love his work ethic and how he competes. And like how he was able to guard on the outside, hoping that some other offers will come from that week, will come from that camp because of the schools he worked out in front of. He has offers from the Citadel, Old Dominion, Charleston Southern, Colorado State, Cincinnati, and Appalachian State. Wake Forest and Georgia Tech have also reached out to him. Wake Forest and Georgia Tech have also reached out. Defensive lineman Neil Farrell of Mobile released the top 9. USC, Alabama, Auburn, Southern Cal, Michigan, LSU, Florida, Minnesota, and Georgia Tech. Linebacker Kane McWilliams of Lewisburg, Tennessee, picked up a Mercer offer. He was at USC's camp on Saturday. South Aiken product, defensive end Rasul Clemens, who's down at East Mississippi Junior College, I think it is. Ole Miss today. Defensive end Malik Herring of Forsyth, Georgia, has a top 7 of Clemson, Alabama, Southern Cal, Middle Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee. Couple of women's basketball notes. Highly regarded prospect 6'5" Sydney Cooks of Kenosha, Wisconsin, has a top list of USC, Michigan, Michigan State, UCLA, Tennessee, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Penn State, Purdue, and Pittsburgh. And USC offered over the weekend 2018 5'5" Madison Smith of Greenville High and 6'3" 2018 prospect Danielle Cosgrove of Farmingville, New York. Okay, I think that's about everything we have, I think, on the recruiting front for you. Don't forget to check it out on our website, sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter. Follow along with us on Twitter as well. Use the hashtag STRecruiting to take you right to our information. A couple of other notes I forgot to mention. Let me do that now. Defensive back Zion Gilbert from Montgomery, Alabama, was at USC and Clemson's camps last week. More involved with USC than Clemson. USC has offered. He's got camps coming up at Texas, LSU, and possibly Florida. Continues to hear from USC. Clemson liked him, but they haven't offered him yet. And running back Jalen Holston, Stockbridge, Georgia, was at USC's camps earlier this month. He earned an offer from Will Muschamp, and the Gamecocks, he said, will get considerable consideration. He has family in the Columbia area, so that's a positive. Plus, he says they need running backs. They like his size, his vision, ability to break tackles. He also has offers from Duke, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Mississippi State, NC State, West Virginia, and Vanderbilt. He rushed for 1,503 yards last season. All right, I think that covers everything now. When we come back, more from Omaha. Conan Gasquet, I think he's in the Sports Talk Intern Hall of Fame, sports director from Channel 13 in Myrtle Beach, Florence. He's in Omaha. He'll join us, and we'll have some comments from Gary Gilmore coming too. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia, Main Street, because Sports Talk is the Sports Talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, your final word in sports every night. Your most informed, your most intelligent. When I'm talking, your most handsome word in sports every night in South Carolina. And do not debate me on that. Even some of our misguided female listeners and viewers think K-Mac is the cuter one. I robustly disagree about that. Coming up, we will have one of our former cute interns. I shouldn't really say that, should I?
No.
We will have one of our former interns with us.
HR on line 2 for Kornbluth again. This is a regular. I think we need to have a segment on the show when HR calls Kornbluth.
Conan Gasquet. Actually, it's Conan, but we call him Conan.
You call him Conan.
Who's in Omaha covering Coastal Carolina. And he will graciously join us to share some of what's been going on today with the Chanticleers. We're hoping to have Andrew Beckwith, last night's winning pitcher, with us here at the bottom of the hour. They're eating at about this time. They're going to try and get him to us. I thought it'd be kind of neat to have him on with us since he's got, some time to relax now because, let's see, he pitched on Sunday night. If things go well, he will not be needed again until maybe Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Monday night.
Well,
that would be the first game of the championship series, right? They do the championship series Monday, Tuesday, and if necessary,
so if
Wednesday.
they win tonight, then they're off till Friday. And
they win tonight, they're off to the 24th, whatever day that is. They win tomorrow night, they're off till Friday.
Mm-hmm. If they win Friday, they're in the championship.
They win Friday, they're in the championship.
Yeah, they're 4 wins away from a national championship.
But it's easier said than done.
Much easier.
We've all seen it. We've all seen. Of course, usually when South Carolina's been out there, for example, they lose that first game and then find a way to stay alive
Except for the
and get to
second
it.
championship run when they just busted through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the third run to the title, they didn't lose until
Well, I don't know about
Arkansas
busting through it. They had to throw a couple of guys out at the plate.
they didn't have to go through the losers bracket in the second run.
That's true.
Now, the game that's scheduled for tonight is in a rain delay. Arizona and Oklahoma State, they've rolled the tarp out on the field. So it's in a rain delay there. First game of the day, Miami is sent home. UC Santa Barbara beats Miami in the losers bracket 5-3. Obviously, they'll try and get in Arizona and Oklahoma State, though we saw a picture of the weather radar in the Omaha area. It doesn't look promising for the time being. Right now, tomorrow, 5 o'clock, it's scheduled to be Texas Tech and Florida. Number 1 seed, Florida, having to play out of the losers bracket. And then you've got Coastal Carolina and TCU scheduled for a 9 o'clock start tomorrow night. We'll catch up on the Chanticleers with Conan Gasquet coming up next here on Sports Talk. All right, back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. We remind you to score big with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders has convenient office locations at USC, the new location coming soon to Clemson, plus ATMs on the campuses of Clemson, Converse, Limestone, PC, USC Lancaster, Winthrop, and York Tech. Visit foundersfcu.com for a full listing to find an ATM or office near you. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. All right, off day in terms of games for Coastal Carolina. They earned it. Well, they didn't have an off day anyway, but they earned a spot in the winner's bracket with a great win last night over the Florida Gators out in Omaha, covering for his market, which is the Myrtle Beach, Florence market, for his television station, WBTW TV 13. Our former intern extraordinaire here at Sports Talk, Conan Gasquet. Conan, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How's it going, Phil? Good to talk to you.
Good to have you with us once again. We're doing great. How was the day-to-day with the Chanticleers? I'm assuming they did some practice and did some things maybe over at Creighton, or they go somewhere else?
Yeah, I was not there for their practice today, but I think Creighton is where they're practicing. So yeah, they did some practice, and we had a chance to talk to Coach Gilmore, a couple of the other players. I was hoping to catch up with Alex Cunningham, but I was not quite able to make that happen. I think he was a little tired there, and took some time off during the time we had for interviews. Wanted to catch up with him about making that start tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting. He did an outstanding job against LSU, so we'll see what he can do tomorrow against TCU.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to last night and let's talk about the post game with the coaches and the players and just how they handled the big stage and the big spotlight of beating Florida, the top-ranked team, beating them the way they did last night.
It's the thing that really amazes me about this team is that you look at what they did when they went to LSU. It's a situation where nobody expected them to have any chance at all. It's one of the toughest environments in all of college baseball. They go in there, they sweep the series, and then they come to Omaha, and their first game ever in Omaha against Florida, who has been here, I think, 10 times, especially in the last few years, has made a lot of appearances here, and they get the win there. I think one thing that really stands out to me about this team is just their overall mindset, how relaxed they are. And they'll tell you this themselves. They went into this thinking, we don't have anything to lose. So there's no reason to play with any pressure. And they haven't played with any pressure all year long, especially down the stretch since losing that series to Georgia Tech in 3 games. So, it's really just their mindset, I think. They've certainly got a lot of talent on this team, but that's the thing that continues to amaze me is how they're able to handle such big atmospheres, go up against such outstanding opponents, face a guy like Logan Shore, hand him his first loss of the year. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that they're just a group of cool customers. They're not really fazed by too much, and they really handle difficult situations pretty well.
The performance by Beckwith was outstanding watching him on television. In person, how did it look to you, what he did out there?
He's outstanding, and he's another one of those guys that I was talking to one of the sports information guys with Coastal Carolina the other day, and I was telling him, it just seems like this group is, just a lot of relaxed guys, and he was saying that Beckwith is one of the most relaxed guys on the whole team. He doesn't really let anything get to him, so it was very impressive, especially coming down the stretch when you're starting to think, here's a guy in the College World Series for the first time, and he's got a chance to pitch a complete game. So I was very impressed with Beckwith and what he was able to do. And obviously that puts Coastal Carolina in outstanding shape pitching-wise as they go forward through the bracket.
Sure does.
Well, coaches are paid, Conan, to worry. So even though they're euphoric about winning that first game, Gary Gilmore has to be thinking, look, my lightning rod late in the season, Seth Lancaster, is out. We won the game, but we only scored 2 runs. We usually like to score 6 or 7 at least. Has he talked about any way that he would try to jumpstart their offense?
I haven't heard anything from that from him about that yet. But I will say, you mentioned about being euphoric. When we talked to him this afternoon, I would not describe euphoric as I would not use euphoric to describe his mindset at this point. Obviously, he's a very focused guy. He's always had a pretty intense focus about him. So I think I think they probably enjoyed the win last night and enjoyed what they were able to accomplish. But when we talked to him this afternoon, it was clear that he was already moving on to the next game, focusing on what they can do to get better. It's like you said, bro. This is a team that kind of hangs its hat on its offense. They're able to do a lot of things well, but I know he's not happy about the fact that they were only able to score 2 runs, especially considering that they had some opportunities that they really could have put that game away a lot earlier. So I'm sure he's going to do what he can to find some opportunities there.
Talking with Conan Gasque from WBTW TV in Florence, covering Coastal out in Omaha. Tell me about Tyler Chadwick and starting him at second. You've seen this team a lot all season long, and where he came from, how they moved him over to second. Will that continue moving forward?
I would assume that it would continue because of how well it worked out. But Gary Gilmore did talk about that in the post-game press conference last night. And what that stems from is obviously the injury to Seth Lancaster. But Chadwick is one of these guys who he's been with the program for quite a while. And he's one of those senior leaders on this team that they've been through so much in their careers when you think about the fact that they had to play 2 years at Myrtle Beach Pelican Stadium. So they're playing off campus for a couple years. They had a lot of injuries during that time. So these older guys on this team, I think that's where the mindset comes from, that they're not really fazed by much. So Gilmore was saying that that's a part of the reason that he chose to go with Chadwick in that second base position, even though that's not his normal position, even though he's never played there all year, is because, here's a guy who is going to handle the pressure well. He's going to handle the moment well. And I think he felt like that, maybe some younger players that he could have put there might get a little more tense, might get a little more nervous than Chadwick would. So I think that was kind of the mindset that Gilmore had there.
Where did you catch up with the team today?
At the team's hotel,
Okay.
Which is not far from TD Ameritrade Park.
Okay. Did they do anything else today besides practice? Did they go, take in some sight around Omaha?
The Drover.
Yeah. Well, the Drover is where I'm hoping to go tonight. So perhaps they want to meet me there. I've heard so much about that place. I've got to try that out myself. But as far as I know, I'm not sure what their schedule was like today. I went out there to try to get a couple interviews, had to rush back over to the park and do a couple live shots and things like that. So they seemed like a pretty relaxed bunch when I was over there today. It's like I was saying, Cunningham. I think we were hoping to get an interview with him, but I think he was trying to catch up on a little sleep, which is understandable. He's got a pretty big game coming up tomorrow.
Well, and I guess everybody checked to make sure Tyler Chadwick knows that he's still in Omaha after taking an AJ Puck fastball to the back of the head last night.
Yeah, we did ask him about that, and he said he's feeling fine, fortunately. So I tell you, I don't know too many people who want to take an AJ Puck fastball to the head. So we're glad he's doing well.
Well, listen, if you're going to the Drover, make sure you check your per diem because you might, eat up about 3 or 4 days of it. Just go in there. So make sure they're understanding when you send in the expense report.
Yeah, I've heard it's rather on the pricey side, but maybe I can cut some corners here and there. Us folks from Ladder, we know how to cut corners here and there.
You
right?
got that. Well, fine eating too. Being from Ladder.
Right. You can pull a Cornbloop move and just pretend he didn't bring your wallet there and make whoever you're with pay for it.
Good idea. Very, very good idea.
Go to the bathroom when the check comes.
Or just run out of there really fast and claim you're going to throw up or something.
Or go to Council Bluffs and try to win enough money to pay everybody back the next day.
I've done that.
Hey, whatever it takes, right? Yeah. Or just the alligator arms. From the Geico commercial.
Speaking of the tables, have you been over across the river yet?
I have not. No, I've been in Omaha the whole time. So
okay. Right.
He's working, Corn.
They're waiting for you. They never shut down over there. Anytime you want to go, they're waiting. Hey, thank you, Conan, and enjoy yourself. We'll catch you later in the week. Okay, thank you very much. Conan Gasque from TV 13 in Myrtle Beach, Florence. Obviously, a great night for Coastal baseball last night as they win their opening game in the College World Series 2-1 over Florida. Story of the game, the pitching of Andrew Beckwith, complete game, terrific outing, 98 pitches, 71 for strikes. Afterwards, talking with a gaggle of reporters, Coach Gary Gilmore was asked more about Beckwith and just the kind of player and pitcher he is for them.
You know, if he plays for Florida, he'd be an insane bullpen guy to come behind some of those arms. I mean, he'd wear some people out. But he just, man, I mean, he's honestly, he's a coastal positional player mentality that just happens to be a pitcher. I mean, he is. I mean, you watch how he pitches and competes. I mean, he's got a lot of position player blood in him, to be honest with you.
You mentioned getting a lot of the former players to come out here. How did that go about?
Just man, it's I mean,
a connection to the program.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, you know, for the last, you know, I walked in there 21 years ago, and you know, it took a while to cultivate some of that, but the last 15 years, it's been pretty good baseball at our school, and you know, a lot of those guys were the ones that put us on that pedestal, so to speak. They got us some national recognition. You know that, you know, we've been a number one seed in a regional 3 or 4 times, and you know, we've had a couple super regionals at home. So you know, it's just one of those things where they have a lot of pride, and you know, just there's a huge connection between our coaching staff and those guys, and I mean, we stay in touch with them. We're a part of their life and they're a part of ours, you know, 15, 20 years later. So, and you know, this was their opportunity. They didn't get to come, but they wanted to be here to see this undertaking.
What does this win mean? I know what it means to this program, but what's this message send to the rest of the field about Coastal Carolina and what they can expect if they have to play you guys?
I mean, I'm sure no one's in awe of us. So they just know that we're going to come and compete. And, you know, I mean, I think it, you know, the fact that you were able to compete against the number one national seed and find a way to win against one of the very best starting pitchers in the entire country and a bullpen staff that's unprecedented. You know, I'm sure everyone took note, but I mean, it did, you know, again, it's all in perspective. You know, it's a baseball game. We won a 2-1 game against a great club, and that's end of story.
Did you allow yourself one moment there to that third out, just tune everything out and think about the video moment for a second?
No, to be honest with you, no. I was so happy for Coach Thomas and for Beckwith. I mean, you know, Coach Thomas needs a whole lot of credit in this whole deal. You know, I mean, what he did with our pitchers at LSU, what he did with this guy here today. I mean, that guy has done a hell of a job. Unbelievable.
Just last, you said it's a good day for Coastal Carolina. When did you find out about Dustin?
They were just telling me after the game. They said, Coach Schilling said, "Hey, DJ pulled it off and held on to one." So that's incredible.
Yeah, big day yesterday for Coastal Carolina. Dustin Johnson wins the Open. Coastal wins its first game of the CWS. Beckwith was outstanding, and we'll be back more here on Sports Talk in a moment. Sports Talk here on a Friday night from Columbia, presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. 800-956-7266, the number if you want to join us on the program tonight. And our email talkback at sportstalksc.com. Poll question of the week. Well, I kind of rolled it over since Coastal got off to the good start. Rolled it over for a little while. How will Coastal do in the CWS? I deleted the option of 0-2 in barbecue because obviously that's not going to happen. So right now, 43% are saying win at least 2 games. 34% win 1, lose 2. 14%, almost 15% say win the national championship. How wild would that be? They've got a team that can do it. I could see Coastal and Oklahoma State playing in a best 2 out of 3 for the national championship. Very good pitching, sound defense. Coastal has excellent power. I don't know how much you'll see of that exhibited because of this ballpark, and especially if the wind, which was blowing in, I think over the weekend, if the wind's blowing in, you're not going to hit many home runs. But it's pitching. It's pitching and defense. So about 15% think they will win the national championship. 8% say they'll at least reach the championship series. So 65 voters say they'll at least get to the championship series, and then many think they'll win the national championship. That would be something awesome for a school the size of Coastal Carolina that has had a very good baseball program for many, many years. They just flew under the radar for much of that time because they were even when they were NAIA, they had a good baseball program. Then when they gradually made the move to NCAA and climbed the ladder, Gary Gilmore has had them very competitive for most of his 21 years there. It just was a matter of time until they kicked that door down and got through. First it was get to the regionals, which they did, then get to the super regionals, which they did, and then finally kick that door down and get to Omaha.
Well, they beat some big teams during the regular season, but we also have to remember that they come from a conference mid-major, but no slouch. I mean, when Winthrop had their baseball team going great guns, and then Liberty started to, show their mettle. So, they've come out of a conference that plays a pretty good brand of baseball. The interesting thing about this whole tournament now is the fact that you talk about Oklahoma State. To win a title somewhere there's some adversity. And they haven't hit theirs yet, and they may not. But
they did. They hit their adversity in the Big 12 tournament.
You got a feeling
they got blown out of the Big 12 tournament.
Well, I'm talking about in the
see, that's kind of what you're talking about. Well, but there's in their mind, they came back, they got the stuff out of their system in the Big 12 tournament. They took their lumps and they went home. They regathered.
So they're using the Gamecock method. Just get tail cut.
Well,
in the coffee.
They went to Clemson with their tails tucked between their legs after getting bounced out of the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, and they really struggled offensively at times this season. Their bats went quiet. It's a classic example of a team that just turned it on at the right time, and they have a little confidence, and they're believing in each other. And that when you have pitching like that, look out.
Yeah,
those arms are
Hatch
so
gave them
good.
a great game.
Hatch is really good. Buffett's really good. They got the guy out of the bullpen that's awesome. Really solid team up and down their lineup. They put a lot of pressure on you too. They bring the game to you. They don't sit there and wait to try to make a play. They go out there and make you make a play. Okay, we're on first. We're going to hit and run. We're going to steal home here. And all right, if you throw us out, fine, but you're going to have to make a play. And if you don't make that play, we're going to beat you. And it's working for them right now.
And they're still in a rain delay, weather alert, rain delay, messy situation out there in Omaha with the weather right now. So there's no baseball being played yet. And, let's just hope that they can get this game in tonight. They don't have to go to a situation where they're going to play one in the morning and then try and get those 2 games in tomorrow evening. Don't want to have to go through that. Let's see. At Clemson, the remaining freshmen coming in for this year's class, the 2016 class, all but one reported for summer school over the weekend. TJ Chase, the wide receiver from down in Florida, the lone one that has not reported, still waiting to get qualified, expects to be there in August. So got those guys in. Same thing over at USC for the most part. I don't know if USC has started their next summer session yet or not. to get the rest of their guys in. But we're getting there to the point where football is going to be right on top of us. SEC Media Days early this year, starting July 11th, I think it is. Yeah, Monday, July 11th. We'll be there for that, of course, and then the next week, the Tuesday of the next week will be Dabo Sweeney's golf outing and meeting with the media, a little preseason, summertime sit down with the media with him. Then later that week will be ACC Media Days in Charlotte. And then we'll be, ready to get things cranked up. Clemson will have its all-in cookout the week of that, right around the time. It might be that weekend before Dabo has his golf outing. They'll have their all-in cookout to bring in their select prospects, the ones they really want, and try and close the deal on some guys like T. Huggins, Jamias Williams, Malik Herring, Zachary Carter, guys that they're in strong shape with, that they really want to drop the hammer down on, try and get those guys done. South Carolina will have another run of camps starting July 18th for about those one-day camps for about 7 or 8 days to put the end of summer on that. So we'll get that little respite here during this downtime during the July 4th period. It's a dead period now for recruiting in terms of that kind of contact, I believe. So we'll have a little bit of a break, and then we'll come back and be going at it to full blazes for another football season. We'll see if it's as successful as it was last year. I failed to mention, we were talking last week, Pro, about successful teams in our state last year. I failed to mention, it dawned on me after the show, I forgot to mention Newberry. And Newberry made the Division II playoffs last year, so we should acknowledge the fact that they had a great year also. And we'll see how many teams can, do the same thing this coming year. As you look around the state, you look at the situations at the various schools, and I would have to say that the only coach on the hot seat would be Bruce Fowler at Furman, to be quite honest with you. They've haven't had great success. They had one postseason appearance. He's got a new athletic director there who's already made a change with the baseball programs, in the process of making a change with the baseball program. And, a new guy comes in, and if you're not winning big and filling those seats, et cetera, patience is not very long. So I would say, hopefully for Furman and Bruce Fowler, they can have a big year. However, the schedule is not in their favor. They have a very difficult opening part of their season. And that's unfortunate for these FCS coaches who are in that kind of situation. And, their schedule up front is so heavy because of the monetary considerations. They got to go play those money games and get those big checks. And what happens? You accumulate, 2, 3, 4 losses to open the season. You're behind the 8 ball from that standpoint. It's got to hurt your guys psychologically too. Even though it doesn't hurt you in your conference and things of that nature, it's got to hurt you. Nobody likes to lose. You lose confidence. You get a little bit beat down. And sometimes you can see your season spin right out of control from the very beginning.
That's why when you play those money games, you make sure that your video coordinator pulls out the good plays you made against the big teams and put together a montage of only those plays. You see those type of plays? This is what we want when the conference season starts. See how y'all played against the big boys? Y'all can do this. It never ceases to amaze me how much of a psychologist a coach has to be. Has to be rough in some areas, know whose buttons to push and how to push them, and know when to pull off the throttle and when to put the foot on.
Well, how about this for 4 opening games for Furman? At Michigan State, at the Citadel, playoff team from last year, Chattanooga, best team in the SoCon, at Coastal Carolina. I mean, if he's able to go 2-2 in that slate, that'll be a terrific start. But you know what? They could. He's got some good players.
Yes.
Got a couple of good quarterbacks. They could be looking at 0-4, though. Even though that's the wrong music. We are back here on Sports Talk. 800-956-7266 is the number. Since K-Mac is making a rare appearance here on Sports Talk, it's time for a little Twitter talk time. What has been the mood on our Twitter timeline, K-Mac, here of late? Besides, the barbs thrown your way.
Oh, well, yeah. No one has threatened to hunt me down and kill me at this point.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people. One of the most retweeted items we've had on our Twitter feeds has been the picture of the Coastal Carolina baseball players, the video of them from last night's game when they went over to the right field line and acted like they were shotgunning a beer. Now, are you familiar with shotgunning a beer?
Yeah,
I know you're not.
Isn't it like taking it and opening it up and just like
but you don't open it up.
Down?
Actually, you take your keys and you punch a hole in it.
See, this is new to me.
And then you open it up and it just shoots out of the hole and you can drink a whole beer, like a 12-ounce beer.
Never seen
that. My personal record isn't about 2.5 seconds.
Well, now, isn't that a little bit?
I thought about getting a couple of Tall Daddies so we could do it here in the studio, but I didn't.
Well, Pro, isn't that something that a group of collegiate athletes should not be demonstrating something like that, for everybody to see at the College World Series?
I'm not certain about that. We know they probably do it.
Corn's going to yell at a couple clouds here in a minute.
Only thing I'm worried about, if you do that in 2.5 seconds, that gas will kick up in your chest and it will mimic a heart murmur or a heart attack.
What about I saw something too about a handshake. The Coastal
There was a very extended handshake, a video of that lasted about 30 seconds. A little long for a handshake, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, you just kind of want to get in and out. I'm more of just a fist bump and let's move on.
Coastal's got a chance.
I don't even like to stop and shout.
Coastal's got a chance to become, the local darlings. The fans in Omaha, they adopt a team every year, usually one of the unheralded teams. And they adopted South Carolina pretty often when they were out there making their run. Loved Jackie Bradley Jr. when he was out there, and I could see that happening with this Coastal Carolina.
He was throwing pills from the center field wall to the plate. I was told that the merchandise at not Rosenblatt, TD Ameritrade Stadium, Coastal Carolina, one of the vendors was telling a reporter that was there last night that he's selling more Coastal gear than any other gear. Yeah. So I think there's a good chance. I would say between them and UC Santa Barbara would be the two
Gauchos.
big. That always makes me think of Grouchos. I want to go have like an STP.
Yeah.
Well, the announcer for ESPN, Peterson, who grew up in Omaha, he said that was the key when they were young. You always grab the paraphernalia of a team that's never been there because you get,
the key, take it from somebody who's been there about 8 times when it comes to buying the paraphernalia. Wait till the series is over. It's a lot cheaper. You buy it prior to or during the series, you're paying top dollar, and they are really, they're sticking it to you. And they've got these huge tents all over the place so you can buy. But if you wait till the day after, you'll have stuff left over, and they are cutting the price
for the day after. They want to get
you can't wear it to the ballpark, but you can wear it home. It's a lot cheaper.
I think the hottest items probably in the history is the eaters. When the anteaters were there and they had the shirt, and they couldn't get anteaters on the shirt. They just put eaters on the shirt. And a bunch of people were wearing those things.
Anything else on the timeline there, K-Mac? Worth noting? No questions?
No questions.
Nobody
who wants to be
probing us.
Do we really have any answers?
We have all the answers.
We have all the answers. They might not be the correct answers, but we do have answers.
We do have all the answers
too.
Yeah. Let's see. We will not be able to catch up with Mr. Beckwith tonight. They are still engaged in a team activity, so we'll miss them tonight. We'll catch up with them a little bit later in the week. They're going to be there for a little while. I tell guys who go out there for the first time, media guys in particular, you're all pumped up. It's exciting to go to Omaha, cover a team, and you get out there usually on Thursday, press conference on Friday. It's all good. If your team happens to play on Saturday, fine. If not, you have to wait till Sunday. That's another day. Win or lose on Sunday, you're there at least until Tuesday. Now, if by then, if you go 0-2, it's Wednesday, and you've been out there almost a week. But if you win again, now you're going to be there at least till Friday, and that week starts to drag on and get long, and you got to go wash clothes. I remember there was a place near the media hotel over in back across over in Iowa.
Now, this is when you actually had clothes, because there was one time, Corn.
My clothes didn't get there.
Yeah, you had to wear FUBU.
I had to go to Walmart.
He was wearing and one.
I had to go to Walmart and buy. But
which is where you normally do your shopping.
Here's the funny
anyway.
thing that happened to me here. I go to this laundromat over in Iowa, across the border there, about 4 or 5 miles from the hotel, and I put my clothes in there, and I walk outside, and I leave my laptop and my keys in there. I didn't realize there was a sign on the door that says "Doors will lock behind you," and this was 9 o'clock at night. And I walked out and couldn't get back in.
Oops.
And I had to go, flag down a cop who had to go help me find the owner to come open it up to get me back in, so I get my clothes and my gear.
Wow.
Travel adventures with.
Whether you're a part of Gamecock Nation, you bleed Clemson orange, or you support another team in the state, everyone can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union, with a convenient location at the Russell House at USC, a new location on Highway 93 in Clemson coming soon. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. All right, admit it now, as you're watching the U.S. Open play out yesterday, how strongly did you believe that Dustin Johnson would not come apart and would find a way not to win another?
Well, when the ruling came down, I was like, not again, because a few years ago, that was at the PGA Championship when he got where was that? Whistling Straits. That was just a tough ruling there, maybe the correct call. But the way they did this, where they didn't make the ruling and it just was hanging over him, I thought, how is that going to affect him? But I always said this, and I'm not saying this as a means to say, oh, I told you. We had this discussion last year. I said he reminded me of Phil. He's just too good not to win a major, and he's going to win multiple majors, and he's going to win another major. You don't sniff that many without winning one. I mean, you're around there sooner. You're going to stumble into one. And what happened here is the other guys around him their wheels came off, and he just kept plugging away. And that shot he hit, I mean, that approach shot on 18, and I was a little worried. That 1 second I got worried is when I think a camera or something went off, and he got off the ball, and he said he chastised somebody, and I said, I hope his head's okay. And then he stuffed one right there.
I think the par putt on 16, the par 3, when he could have lost another shot,
and the sand save on 17.
I think that really settled him down at that point. I think he realized, okay, I'm in good, and everybody else was falling down around him. I wasn't rooting against Dustin Johnson. I'm very happy for him. Very happy they won. I was kind of rooting for Sergio. I'd still like to see Sergio get one major.
Get one. But here's the
how's
thing.
he going to get one?
Here's the thing. Well, Dustin Johnson stays home. No, but seriously, his body language and the way his face was, he looked like he was in a trance. Even after he knew he was going to win, Dustin Johnson still standing there like, he was so focused. I knew he was going to win.
Well, I don't know that he's a very excitable guy on the golf course anyway. Never has struck me as that. Even his fist pump after he won wasn't one of great
That's what I'm saying.
energy.
He was still zeroed in.
Okay, that will do it. Thank you, K-Mac, for joining us tonight. Pro, thank you. Larkin Belton, good to see you again. Come by anytime when you have some time on your hands. And thanks to all of you for being with us here tonight on Sports Talk. We have enjoyed it. We will talk more about Coastal going into their second game tomorrow night and have a bunch more for you here on Sports Talk. We'll see you tomorrow night.